I know so well that the talking or knowing doesn't mean I can practice it. But at the same time, if I keep repeating certain way of doing things over and over, eventually I'll get to do things much more smoothly. Whatever the subject is, that's just the way that we can master something. To swim or to play ping pong or to learn work, anything. First time it's not easy, and that's obvious to see how kids grow. So I've said many times similar or same thing, but every now and then I have to revisit for the sake of inculcating in my whole system so that I can practice. So if there's anyone listening, I may be repeating the same thing. And in your case, maybe it's unnecessary, but in some area you may find it interesting because everybody's different. It's about habitual pattern, or you can call karma. One place I can start this discussion is about my habitual pattern I developed over time. Or from early on, I realized that I want to explore the world by doing things, experiencing. And going through 74 years of my life, I still have that attitude, but I have encountered the problem or difficulties. So every time I go through the difficulties, I may acquire the skill, or I may realize that this is not the place to go. So my life's pattern has been changing certain things from A to B to C, like from engineering to management, actual doing to teaching and talking or publishing book. And in my work, I find myself not doing much, and I was perhaps better because of the books and videos to give the general guideline of what to do, and for the people to be empowered how to do it. And I was fairly successful in doing it, so I worked on that idea: empowerment, leadership, self-management, continuous improvement, waste elimination. And I kept saying one of the waste, the major waste, is us not utilizing our talent. So as I went through that work for 40-some years, I also worked on my spiritual pursuit, Zen meditation, even got the awakening, which I summarized in one of the report. So I realized that what I practice in the organization applies to my own case, to empower myself and have a clarity in my whole system to self-organize itself so that all the cells and organs I have in my body and mind can function well. Repeated, plan, do, checked, the continuous cycle of revisiting and repeating. As the environment changes, I respond to that, and I monitor how I'm doing and revisiting. So that's been the summary of my life in general. Then I also realized I did it that way because it's easier to not to actually practice on my own. Talking is easier than doing it. But when it comes to life, you have to practice. So what I have talked about, I have to practice on my own, which has been the way. And because I worked so well with the companies, I felt that I should be able to do well. Still, life is a continuous process of the changes. Nothing lasts forever. The new environment and myself may change. as I get older, the skills that I had, the memories, all that may shrink, as if the source of the energy going through my whole system to live is shrinking. So I have to be conscious about which direction I put my energy, and keep repeating this cycle. So I need to be prepared, and I think I did a fairly good job of studying all the spiritual people, what they left, their words, and checking from various angles, different location, the nation, people, different time, different setting. And as I have posted, the most recent one is the revisiting of a Shin Buddhism Myokoni. And I keep posting Saichi as a good example because he is not the academics to talk about what should be, but he is the one who are doing things. And he left all the track record of 20-some years of his daily situation in a poem. So it's kind of similar to what I do with my daily posting of the YouTube, which I have been doing perhaps more than a year, but continuously posting various videos as if to check and balance what I'm doing. So, in short, since I have figured out more or less to practice Zen and have awakening, practice Shin Buddhism, more of the compassion for that purpose. One is more of the wisdom, one is more for the compassion, because at the end, you want to be compassionate to yourself because you'll be losing energy and all the physical and mental ability goes down. So maybe I was preparing for it, or maybe because I didn't know it, but by accident I found Saichi to revisit, to agree, and I can see what he says, that he goes into Pure Land and out of Pure Land. And I feel the same sense of going into the bliss, like a nirvanic sense. Pure Land, maybe the way to explain it, and coming back. So coming back to the real world, or whichever is real world, the living in daily life, and then in the process of that, going into the Pure Land, that you can connect to the root of your being, in this case, Amida's compassion, or nature's way, as I call it. So the journey continues. But I believe the belief is important, or confidence, and the trust and the faith. That is the ultimate, beyond the mind, that we can hang on. So peace be with you. That's the eternal peace we're gonna go as much as we came from, and be ready for that, and revisit that way continuously, day to day, even perhaps hours to hour, and confirm it makes sense in the mind, but actually being able to practice and connect to the root and have peace, no matter what situation we face. That's the will determination. 12 years ago, I said, "Thy will be done." That's the summary of my understanding at the time. Now, 12 years later, come back to the same situation. More emphasis on compassion. Maybe 12 years ago, I was still curious, exploring, which I did, had divorce, relationships, different location, changing way, exploring, continuing. But as the tree analogy I mentioned, shrinking energy, life energy, still have this wonderful aliveness, nirvanic, blissful sensation that comes visit me, actually more often than not. So maybe that's the biological changes that is taking place along with the journey I have taken by visiting different religion or people's experience, all of that. But of course, what I have exposed, checked and balanced has limitation, and I need to keep revisiting those to make sense of it, so that I'm still, like the example of gyroscope, helps the sense of aliveness in what I'm doing. I think it was Buddha's analogy of the candle and the flame burning, gradually shrinking. So there's a aliveness candle inside of me I call waku waku, the sense of a blissful sensation, or I feel aligned to the law of nature, or Amida's compassion in some cases. So keep that as an internal signpost or guide or gyroscope, and be sincere, truthful, to live with that sense. That's my confirmation. If there's anyone who's listening to ask the question or comment, please do so, because journey can be at the end by each of us, but we can check and balance, share some ideas along the way. Thank you.